I used to believe small gestures could hold a family together. That was the idea behind the reservation. My father had turned 63 that month. Nothing dramatic about the number. But lately he'd started moving slower, taking longer to stand up from chairs, pausing mid-sentence like he'd misplaced a thought. I wanted an evening where he felt seen, not a loud party. Just dinner somewhere that felt special. So I made a reservation 3 weeks in advance. The restaurant wasn't random. My brother Daniel owned it. He'd spent 8 years building the place from a struggling cafe into something quietly respected. I thought my father would be proud sitting there, knowing his son had created something real. I told my husband, Mark, about it early. Saturday night, I said, dinner for Dad? He nodded without much interest. Over the next few days, he made small comments, nothing sharp enough to argue with. That place is pretty fancy for your dad. My parents never get taken anywhere like that. They'd probably appreciate it more. Each time I brushed it off. Mark had a way of talking that made everything sound hypothetical, like he was testing thoughts, not planting them. The afternoon of the reservation, I was finishing work when he walked into the kitchen. By the way, he said, pouring coffee like this was routine information. My parents are meeting us tonight. I turned from the sink. For what? For dinner. I thought he misunderstood. The dinner is for my dad. Yeah, but your dad can celebrate anytime. My parents barely go out. They deserve something nice. The word deserve hung in the air like it settled something. I felt a quiet pressure behind my ribs. Mark, I said carefully, the reservation is for my dad. He shrugged. So we had 2 people. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. He leaned against the counter, patient in a way that felt rehearsed. You're overthinking it. Your family does this stuff all the time. Mine doesn't. I tried another angle. My brother owns the restaurant. I meant it as context, as a reminder that this evening had shape and intention. Mark laughed softly. Okay, he said. Sure he does. I didn't respond. His parents arrived 20 minutes before we left. They were dressed carefully, his mother in a deep blue coat, his father smoothing his collar in the hallway mirror. They clearly thought the dinner was meant for them. The drive to the restaurant was quiet. When we arrived, the host at the front desk looked up and immediately recognized me. Good evening, she said, her voice warming. We've been expecting you. Mark stepped forward before I could answer. Reservation for Mark, he said confidently. The host glanced at the screen, then back at me. It's under your name, she said.
I nodded. Yes!
She hesitated a moment longer than usual, like she was scanning the group and trying to understand something. Right this way. The dining room had that soft evening glow restaurants aim for low light, quiet conversations, the sound of glasses being placed carefully on tables. Mark's parents looked impressed. His mother whispered, "This place is beautiful." We sat down, Minas opened, water poured, and for a moment I wondered if the night would just move forward in this strange, reshaped version. Then a familiar voice came from behind me. Hey! Daniel, he stood beside the table, wearing his usual black apron, a towel folded over his shoulder. He looked at me first. Where's Dad? He asked. The question landed gently but directly. No one answered right away. Daniel's eyes moved across the table, taking in Mark, his parents, the empty chair that had been meant for someone else. Mark cleared his throat. Plans changed, he said casually. Daniel didn't react immediately. He looked back at me. You said tonight was his celebration? It is, I said quietly. He's still coming. Daniel nodded once. Good. He turned slightly toward the host standing nearby. This table was prepared for Mr. Roz's birthday dinner, he said calmly. Make sure everything's ready when he arrives. The host nodded. Of course. Daniel gave a small professional smile to the table. You're all welcome to stay, he added, but tonight's setup is for him. Then he walked away. Nothing dramatic about the moment. No raised voices, no accusations. Just the simple weight of reality settling into the room. Mark's posture shifted slightly in his chair. The easy confidence he carried earlier had faded into something tighter. His mother glanced between us. Oh, she said softly. This was supposed to be your father's night? I didn't answer right away. Water glasses clinked as someone at the next table laughed about something unrelated. Finally, I said yes. Another stretch of silence. Mark looked down at the menu like the text had suddenly become complicated. No apology came. But the room had changed. The restaurant wasn't neutral territory anymore. The staff moved around us with quiet familiarity. A server stopped to ask me if everything was prepared the way my father liked. Another mentioned Daniel had arranged a dessert. Mark noticed those things. You could see it in the way he stopped speaking so easily. About 20 minutes later, my father walked through the door. He looked surprised when he saw the table. "Everyone's here?" he asked, smiling carefully. I stood up. "Yeah," I said. Daniel appeared again a moment later, greeting him with a hug that was quick but sincere. "Happy birthday, Dad." The evening continued. Food arrived. Conversations restarted, though quieter now. Mark's parents tried to smooth the mood with polite questions about the restaurant. I answered them. Mark stayed mostly silent. There wasn't a confrontation. There didn't need to be one. Something had already become clear in a way arguments never manage. Near the end of the night, my father leaned toward me. "You planned all this?" I nodded. He looked around the room, at the tables, the staff greeting Daniel as he passed, the small candle placed beside his dessert. "You did good," he said. Not loud, just enough. And for the first time that evening, I felt something steady return.